So hi, everyone. So what a great intro from Andy as well, and the popsicle moment. And I love that because it's all about the experience that you create in sales. So you saw there a crappy hotel, but it was that popsicle moment that actually brought people to that hotel in LA. And so I'd like to start our speech on emotional intelligence with a quote. People buy on emotion and justify with logic. So people buy on emotion and justify with logic. Hands up, how many of you heard that before? Pretty much everyone. And keep your hands up if you actively have that in the front of your mind with every sales engagement. Just a few. So, and as sort of Andy alluded to as well, when you're preparing your sales presentations and your teams are building their decks, it's all about those facts and figures and endless PowerPoints and demos. But how much time do you actually put in creating that experience? Thinking about how do you want your customer to walk away once you've spent an hour with them? What feelings do they go away with? And to sort of put that into perspective, if you think about you going to a restaurant and you have a significant other and you want to take them to a Michelin-starred restaurant, you take them to the restaurant, you get seated at your table, you have a very professional waiter who reads you the specials, you order your dinner, you get your wine, the food's amazing, but there's no real warmth or experience in this Michelin-starred dinner. And so you go away and you think, yeah, that was nice. Or conversely, picture that same Michelin-starred restaurant where you go in, you're greeted by name, you're seated at the table. The person understands what your flavors you're interested in and proceeds to recommend dishes to you and talk to you about where the ingredients are from. And then you choose your dish, and they give that information to the sommelier, and so the sommelier comes and recommends the perfect wine to go with your special dinner. And then afterwards, you're not planning on having dessert, but they bring over a complimentary digestif and tell you about the amazing chocolate dessert. So think about those two different experiences. You walk away with this amazing feeling that you've been treated fantastically. The food's great on both counts, but it's the experience that keeps you going back. It's the experience that helps you recommend that to your friends. And it's no different to software sales, because people know the product is great. That has earned you the seat at the table. But it's everything else around that that is going to give you that competitive differentiator and that is going to make people want to buy from you. And it's the top sales reps, and you heard from Andy as well, it's the top sales reps that understand that. It's the stories they tell. It's the experience that they create. And it's how they relate to the customer before, during, and after the sales process that actually keeps people going back. And it's that example that Andy gave as well. You may not sell, your sales cycle may be longer, but actually your overall lifetime customer value is much higher. So it's those things that you need to be thinking about as sales leaders for your teams as well. Because it's a great lead-in from Andy's one. 10% of the learning is done in the classroom. But what are you teaching your reps to do around the experiences, around the storytelling? Because 95% of our purchase decision, according to Harvard, is done on emotion. Our rational brain then seeks out information to justify why we are buying. Because you don't buy from people you like. You have to have that relationship and rapport. And this is the very essence of emotional intelligence. And it starts with understanding yourself and your feelings, that self-awareness. And only when you have that level of awareness about yourself can you then start to understand other people and apply that to your sales engagement. Because you go away from that PowerPoint that you've prepared into the customer. Who are they? What's important to them? How can I relate that information in a way that makes sense to them on that particular day? So it's those salespeople that really get that are consistently the top performers. So what are my key takeaways? So as sales leaders, you probably all do this most of the time anyway, but when you're coaching your team, there are 3 key areas that will really make the difference. The first one is that active listening. So we've heard it before, but how many people actually listen? How many meetings do you go to where people are on their phones or they're not really engaged? They're thinking about, what am I going to say next? They're not really actively listening. So that's a missed opportunity to build a rapport. That's a missed opportunity to really create a relationship with your client and prospect. The second one is seek to understand the person. So for many of you who have teams who sell over the phone that's very transactional, your teams, and I see it quite a lot, is teams focus on closing the next deal, closing that transaction. They're not focusing on the person that they're selling to. And so that's something that people notice. So focus on the person. And then the third one, and probably the most important one, is teach your teams how to create experiences. It's the stories that they tell. It's those customer success stories that bring your product to light that is going to start to make the difference. So I'll leave you with one closing comment. People may forget what you say. They may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you make them feel. Thank you. And with that...